Today I'm gonna tackle a repair that isn't crucial because it still works. This is the breakaway controller. This switch, if you have a failure of your hitch ball, your hitch, the actual assembly of any kind of sway control hitch, if something comes apart and the trailer separates from your tow vehicle, it pulls this pin like this, electrical signal locks up your trailer brakes, and the trailer at least will violently coast to a stop, rather than just be freewheeling. And so this has a crack in the top of it. I assume it's original, it's been out in the elements, and it's an electrical thing, so it not being sealed to the elements means it won't last forever like that, and I'd like to fix it before it fails completely. You may be thinking this could make a parking brake for your trailer if you pull this pin and the trailer won't roll on you. It will kill your batteries pretty fast, because right now what I've done is lock the brakes by pulling this out, and it's using battery power to keep those brakes locked. So it's not a permanent solution that you could use under any circumstances. I've got 2 wire connections to make and 1 bolt to take out. So to get to those wire connections, I need to remove the propane cover. That should expose the wires that we need to make a connection on. There's a lot of electrical tape here. Take that off. Gonna go cut the battery power. Bolt's definitely plenty long enough. I'm gonna use wire nuts on these connections, which is really not ideal. I'd rather use a crimp connection, but I don't seem to have the right size. Heat shrink tubing over the crimp connection is probably the ideal way to do this. I'm gonna tape this pretty well, and it should hold, but I know it's second best. Tape them up first separately and then together. I'm gonna go up underneath and zip tie that on the bottom side so that it's secure. I'm just taking a second to run the file over this to make sure that it makes a good connection. This bolt's about half a mile longer than it needs to be. I think I like my stretchy cable better than the cable that it comes with. So I'm gonna cut that off. Remove that cable and put the stretchy cable back on to keep it a little bit neater, less of a trip hazard around the hitch. Last thing I need to do is find a place to zip tie those wires out of the way. So here's the installation of the new one, and wiring runs back under the propane cover back here, so that's good. I've replaced the cable that it came with my stretchy cable, which I prefer. Makes less of a tripping hazard around the hitch, I think. The old one, the casing was failing, and while it still worked, I don't think I want to trust it for very long with all the water that could potentially get into the electrical connection. So we found a little bit of a water leak. There used to be a screen pulled door here for the shower. It was replaced with a curtain by the previous owner. I'm not sure if it broke or what, but there's a bit of a leak at the bottom where it's leaking out onto the toilet tank. We also had an issue where we had this shower caddy stationary, locked in place, and it turns out the water behind it was helping mold grow. So what we want to do is recaulk our mid seam in the bath, and we figured we'd caulk this leaking seam at the bottom as well. I think it'd be really easy to ignore this little dark corner, but I think that'll only cause us problems in the long run. After digging out the corner, I can see that there is a little bit of mold in here that had been caulked over. and it actually wasn't sealed, so it's wet. And my fear is what we're gonna have if we just leave it like that is mold continuing to regrow out of the hidden little pocket of wet Aldi. Please like and subscribe and click that notification bell. It really helps our channel. I have a Volterra handle for the black tank dump valve. We actually have already replaced the one on the gray side because it was broken. It was just a little nub you had to grab onto. But I'm gonna take this off. The thing about it is you have to grab the steel shaft with something, which means you have to dump the tank to do it, or do it when the tank is empty. This is as simple as grabbing onto the steel and lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. Should come right off. Now this handle appears to be fine. I'm just worried, as brittle as the other one was, that this one is not long for the world, so we'll just replace them both.
My freezer needs to be cleaned and de-iced. Not even sure where this thing is coming from. There's a lot of ice in there. And it is time. I need to chip it all out and give that a good clean. So a lot of people like to have their stuff just completely defrost, and I don't. I prefer to take the ice chunks out myself. I don't have my heat gun with me or a hair dryer. I don't actually own a hair dryer. So what I've done is put a hot boiling pan of water in here, and I closed the door for maybe 10 minutes, and then I've come back. I don't want the whole thing to just defrost into a puddle of water. I want to take the ice and put it into the pan here with this. Cleaning up and scooping up the ice to me is just easier than puddles of water that can drip and then having to dry out the towels and stuff before my next laundry run. So that's what I'm currently doing. I've got it about halfway, and really it just softens. And I like to use a plastic so that I don't damage anything back here. And it just sort of chips right out. Makes a bit of a mess. And I just take and I put it in. And I go and I dump this and I refill it with hot water. It continues to steam. This task takes about an hour when I do it this way. Are you stealing my project?
No. Go slow, I want the dramatic fog.
Can't really see it.
No, it's rising. It's rising out.
You're weird. splash.
That was a good action shot. It sprayed right at the camera.
Well, you know.
So would you say there's extra bonus ice hidden behind that?
A little thin sheet. It's not really a big deal. Since the freezer was mostly empty, this is the good time to do it. Took less than an hour to do this. My fridge wasn't full, so I had emptied it and we had eaten through our frozen goods for travel, upcoming travel. I'll turn the fridge back on. Much easier when it's right side up. Aha! I wish we had this one. This is where I store the clips that hold the fridge closed in transit. One of them's broken and I honestly don't use them, but I keep them and I'm not sure why. Here we go, close this, turn it on. Fridge is clean. You can see a little ice on the fins, just turning it off. Has it defrosting into its tray. In the back corner here, there's a drain tube, and you are going to want to make sure if you have this kind of fridge that that drain tube isn't plugged and it's draining correctly outside.